Hey everybody, it's your old pal Wood Doofus here. I'm coming to you in portrait mode for a short time because I'm in a tight space, which is my closet. I've lived in this house for a couple years and I've been wanting to upgrade this closet for a long time. I really hate wire racks, so I'm going to get rid of these and put in something nice, so let's get started. So I removed the wire racks from the wall behind me and I'm actually going to reinstall the units I'm making on this wall and that wall. And for this video, we're just going to cover the units I put on this wall. So this is going to be the wall that has the hanging shirts and pants, and it's going to have some cubby holes for shoes also. The other side is going to have some shelves and drawers and things like that. It's much more interesting, but that'll be in the next video. So this is the footprint that I made out of 2x4s that my boxes are going to sit on top of. And since I have carpet in here and I don't want to install hard floors, I'm just going to cut out the footprint in the carpet and then set it down on the subfloor. So when you're ripping out carpet to do built-ins, you always want to take out the baseboards first and then the carpet next. So I'm just going to get a pry bar, take that off, and then a blade to take out the carpet. So I'm going to start with my oscillating tool just to cut the parts of the baseboard that I need to cut into. Then I'm going to take my knife and I'm going to score the caulk along the seam of the baseboard. Then I'll take my hammer and my pry bar here and take off the pieces that I don't need there anymore. To cut into the carpet, I'll just use my 2x4 skirt as my template, and then we'll just cut into the carpet, take it out, and be ready to install. See, my piece of baseboard broke off there in the corner, but I can just glue and pin nail that back together. So I'm lazy, so I just took the minimum amount of tack strip out because I don't like taking that stuff out because I always prick myself, which I did even now. All the carpet and padding is cut out and I got this in here. I'll probably have to put a trim, like a quarter round trim along the edge. I'm going to staple the carpet to the floor here with my staple gun a little bit later. And when the box sits on top, it's going to hang over about 2 inches. So any gap is definitely not going to be visible once the trim is there and the box is hanging over. So this is going to be like a toe kick situation. But since I'm super lazy, I might even leave this crap in here, but maybe not. We'll see what happens later. So I'm coming to you a week later because a key part of my video didn't have any audio in it, so I'm just going to redo this part of the video. So you probably just saw me put these boxes in, and I built these boxes off camera because I've made several videos where I build boxes like this, and it's just a box with 4 sides. But I understand it's not as simple as that. So these boxes are just 12-inch deep plywood that I bought at the Home Depot. And for this box right here, I put shelf pin holes in it. And because it's only a 12-inch wide shelf, I went ahead and put the pin holes in it before I assembled the box. That way the drill wouldn't get stuck in there if it didn't fit, which would really suck. I used this jig right here from Kregg to make the shelf pin holes. It's pretty easy to use. I've used it in other videos. You can check out the link in the description if you're interested in making shelf pin holes. The shelf pins themselves, I have a link to those also. I drilled 1/4-inch holes, and so I have a 1/4-inch shelf pin, and I really like these kind. So before I attached these boxes to the wall, I needed to attach them to each other. So I went ahead and put clamps on up and down here, and then I put 4 screws on the top section and at least 2 or maybe 4 on the bottom section. Once they were screwed together nice and flush, it's a good time to attach it to the wall. I really like this Franklin sensor to find the studs. As you move it along, it gives you the light where the studs are. So it gives you a whole set of lights. So with 3 lights there, I know the stud is right there. And it gives me a good indication of where to screw it to the wall. So that's what I did. Once I marked where the stud was, I used a 3-inch screw. I drilled a pilot hole first, and then I put the screw into the wall on this box and probably down below also. And that should secure it as strong as I need it to be. These closet rods are available on Amazon also. They're just a 3-piece system. There's two attachment pieces and 1 rod that goes in between. They come in various lengths. These are the 36-inch lengths that I cut down to size. You can cut them with a hacksaw or a reciprocating saw. I used the reciprocating saw because I had it and it was a lot easier than a hacksaw. So I make them just 2 inches from the top of the box, and I make them at least 10 inches from the wall. 11 would be a little bit better. That way your hangers hang free. So there's a link to those in the description also. Otherwise, let's keep on going with this build. So before I put the face frame on, I put this trim on the side piece that's going to be visible as you walk around the closet, and it's just a 1/4 inch material. I've done this several times before to give it like a faux shaker look, so it's not so plain. After I paint it, it'll look pretty good. And I just used glue and Star Bond to put that on there, so I didn't need to use any clamps. And you probably also saw me put the plugs in there for the pocket holes, so they weren't showing either. The only thing I need to do here is put some caulk around that seam, and it'll be done there. So for the face frame, I kept it real simple. I just measured the pieces that I needed to put on there. This piece was 1 inch thick. This piece is 2 pieces of plywood, so it's 1.5 inches. This piece is 7/8, which is just the 3/4 plus the gap between the box and the wall. And then the top, middle, and bottom are just 3/4 to go flush with the plywood and kind of put an end cap to the end grain. I went over all the edges with a very slight round over, and after it was all installed, I sanded it up. I used 16 gauge nails to tack it in there with glue, obviously, and then I patched it with this wood filler on all the seams and all the nail holes. I filled it up with the wood filler. So that's pretty simple, and it's basically done except for a little bit of trim on the bottom. So on the bottom, I'm working on covering up the 2x4 that makes the skirt. And I pinned this piece back in, if you remember, that fell off earlier. So it's pinned in, there's a little bit of a gap. And I made this 1/2 inch plywood piece to go over there. And then I took another piece of reclaimed scrap wood that I have here. Let me flip it over. And that's gonna go along the front to cover up the gap of the carpet. It's a tight fit, but it squishes the carpet down. It fit before. I'm going crazy. Oh, yeah, I know I made that fit before. There we go. Boom. So all I gotta do, pin that in place, and then we got a nice looking non-2x4 thing going on at the bottom, which is what I'm going for. So I just finished making all of my adjustable shelves. I just used the scrap pieces and cut-offs of plywood that I had sitting around the garage, and I used 3/4 inch squares of poplar to put on the front. And now I'm just sliding them in here. These are 11¼ by 11¼ because that's what fits. Anyway, I think I'm gonna wrap up the video here. It's pretty much built. All I have to do is paint it. I'm gonna paint it a nice dark blue. It's one of my favorite colors. These are all the clothes that I own. I have 2 shirts and 2 pairs of shoes. So I have a little bit of room to expand my wardrobe now that my closet isn't a disaster. So be sure to stay tuned for the next video where I build the other side of the closet, which is going to have shelves and cabinets and maybe a bunch of other stuff like that. It'll be way more exciting than this basic thing. It's always nice to have better functional space than just a wire rack, which really sucks. Anyway, thanks for watching, and as always, don't be afraid to be a doofus.